Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at how Ainz Ooal Gown took revenge, and how there's still humanity left inside with him, even if it is deeply buried. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. It's rare to get an honest look into the mindset and moral code of an undead overlord, which is why it is so refreshing that Overlord constantly gives us exactly that. Like many other protagonists in anime and manga, Ainz Ooal Gown was also transported into a new fantasy world as his in-game video game avatar. However, unlike most, he arrived as an undead overlord, leader of an enormous but deeply evil force. And to better understand the new world that he landed in, he disguised himself as the adventurer Momon and set out with Overlord to the nearby fortress city of Revange. There he met the Swords of Darkness, a respectable group of adventurers, and he fought alongside them, spent several days with them on the road, and near the Forest of Top, defeated powerful ogres, at least by their own standards, and even managed to subjugate the wise king of the forest, Hammerske. And during this time, Ainz was strongly reminded of his old days with his friends in his former guild back in the year 2138. And those were the best days of his life, since the world in the year 2138 had become a toxic wasteland, and therefore the so-called DMORPGs, where one could feel and experience everything their own characters also went through, were not entirely different from this now new feeling of being an actual undead overlord and an actual fantasy world. Especially because he had gone on adventures as an undead overlord even back then. The experience was essentially the same, the point of view was the same. He felt as he had always felt. Maybe a few things are different, maybe the graphic is even better now, but ultimately it was eerily similar to his in-game video game experience. But now there was one major difference. Ainz's mind had been altered by his undead body. It made him immune to mind control, and also immune to any emotion that could impair his judgment. Arousal, fear, rage, shame, grief, or joy. Any of them were regulated down and tightly restricted. As a result, he couldn't form any real emotional connections with his new team anymore. In any other isekai anime, these people would have become his true friends, his new friends, his surrogate family, his partners in adventure, who share joy and sorrow, riches and hardship. Together, they'd go on fantastic journeys to eventually save humanity from, let's say, monstrous enemies, just like the 13 heroes in the legends of this new world had done. But in Overlord, the bond was never able to form. Ainz's longing for his old friends was too strong, his nostalgia too deep, and the emotional prison of his undead body too overwhelming to allow for such a new closeness in this short amount of time. And so Ainz Ooal Gown was fully capable of coldly and mercilessly executing a strategic plan after finding the Swords of Darkness brutally slain and turned into the undead. And he analyzed the scene with a calm strategic mind, studying the wounds on the disfigured bodies of the adventurers and quickly realizing that the clue, the Suez, that was written and left behind on the wall was just a diversion. Without hesitation, he ordered Overlord to find the true base of the enemies. And just as her creator, Lord Nishikian Rai, once discovered the Great Tomb of Nezarec, Overlord now located the crypt where Khajiit and Clementine were hiding. Ainz then used the desperate situation of Lizzie Balear, whose grandson and only surviving family member had been kidnapped in the attack, to force her into working for him. knowing full well that she would sacrifice anything just to get him back. Ainz coldly turned the unexpected death of the Swords of Darkness into an opportunity for advancement and for self-aggrandizement. He realized the impact of the situation, and when he encountered the zombie horde unleashed by Khajiit and Clementine in Ainz graveyard, he ensured that eyewitnesses, specifically the city guards, would be there and would survive to witness everything and live to tell the tale. He made sure everyone saw who saved them at the last second, and how with a single sword throw he took down a mighty zombie giant. Afterwards he fought in the graveyard, or rather he led two summoned beings, the Corpse Collector and Jack the Ripper, take care of these zombies, while he and Nabral fought Khajiit and Clementine. But Ainz Ooal Gown wasn't as cold and unaffected as he appeared. He was angry, and this glowing righteous rage that any normal person would have felt just hours after the death of their friends, or at least good acquaintances, of how brutally they were slain. It was indeed present, but in him it was ice cold and calculated. Clementine lost everything. For her transgression, not just her life, but also her entire self-image, all of her arrogance and sense of superiority that she had carried into the fight. Ainz had no issue with taking revenge, no problem being cruel. All the restrictions that other isekai protagonists place on themselves were completely absent here. All that remained was a thirst for revenge, and one that Ainz Ooal Gown satisfied in his own cruel way. Instead of using the daggers originally intended for this purpose, just like Nabral Gamma had, these same ones, the Swords of Darkness once wielded when they were alive, he instead chose to crush Clementine to death. He wasn't interested in some poetic justice. He was pragmatic in his cold, calculated revenge. That's what makes him so incredibly dangerous. He can put his own ego aside. And while he was in the process of crushing Clementine with his 3 hugs, other adventurers began arriving, having fought their way through the thinned zombie horde. And that too was something that Ainz Ooal Gown couldn't allow. He wanted all the glory for the rescue of the city to go to him alone, so he summoned more undead, bone vultures and other minor undead, to delay the approaching adventurers. However, he strictly ordered them that no harm was come to the city guards, since he still needed witnesses to testify to his heroic deeds. Then Ainz Ooal Gown made his way deeper inside, where he found inferior Baliar, the grandson of Lizzie Baliar. And there he also discovered an extremely rare item, the Crown of Wisdom, once worn by the Miko priestess who Clementine had previously killed. And this item transformed its wearer into a living mana reservoir and arcane conduit, an antenna for magic, allowing them to cast incredibly powerful spells. However, the crown also destroyed the user's mind, turning them into a willless puppet that couldn't function without the item, even on a very, very basic level. Essentially, they became like servitors from Warhammer 40k, unlike in this universe, where when you remove the machine part the human can't survive. Ainz now faced a decision: either destroy the Crown of Wisdom, an incredibly rare item, to break its curse, or sacrifice inferior Baliar in order to keep the item intact. And Ainz, partially because of his deal with Lizzie, partially because he wanted to complete the mission successfully, but also I believe partially because a remnant of humanity still slumbered within him, chose to destroy the crown and save inferior. Looking back, especially considering the magic potion, this was absolutely the right decision. But I also think we will soon find out whether or not there's really that much of humanity left within Ainz Ooal Gown, especially in the light of the upcoming battle against the theocracy of Slain. Let's see if he is capable of more than just a small and calculated act of mercy. And if that said, now it's your turn. What do you think about the topic of the video? What do you think about the video itself? Let me know it down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much to my Patreons for supporting my channel. Thanks to all viewers, watchers and likers and supporters. And as usual, I say my special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Girl Yee, Bad Burrito 316, Bize, Ben C, Brandon S, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Din Pep, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Le Louche Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lofrazer, Merowek, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pentum, Personage, Ruru, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Sonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.